Hey there, Nolen and Jason here with HVAC Webmasters.
Howdy.
So today is going to be a good one, I think. The title is Your Current HVAC SEO Company is Screwing You. Here's how. So my favorite example of this in general is that people call us looking for leads.
Right.
So we help people generate, get lead generation systems
Yeah,
going.
we don't sell leads.
Right.
We sell the service that gets you
the lead
best
generation,
leads.
right?
Yeah.
Helping your company be branded on Google, which is what the SEO company that is screwing them claims they're doing,
But they're not.
but they're not. And the best evidence of it is that they were urged to pick up the phone to call to try to buy a lead.
Right.
So, and people,
The fact that they're calling us is indicative of the fact that their current company is not.
yeah, because I'll
working
say,
out.
well, we do this organic SEO here, and they'll say, oh, I've already have that being done. And I'll say, well, obviously not very well, as indicated by the phone call. And so people
Then
are like,
why are you calling?
yeah, so it's like, okay, well, I want leads. I'm just looking to buy a lead. I said, but you wouldn't need leads if you had proper SEO, because the big show, Google, is where 80+% of people go to look for home services. And while
Leads be just like.
leads would be coming in, they would be.
Yeah.
So because over 70% of the people, while on Google, look at a non-paid item, which is the SEO that they claim they're being sold already.
And if you want proof, I
Yeah.
ran a report today for somebody that's Google Business Profile generated 357 calls in the month of August.
Wow.
That's just
That's
the
nice,
GDP.
bro. I don't know who.
Boom.
Tell me who that is after the.
I'll tell you who it is.
Yeah.
We don't like to name names.
Yeah. We don't name names. Yeah, we don't name any names on any of this stuff. But so when somebody's having to pay thousands of dollars for paid ads, there's nothing wrong with a paid ad, but most HVAC
But now we're going
companies.
to tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's okay to buy a lead. It's okay to participate in marketing of any kind as long as it's ethical.
And as long as it does return in some fashion.
as long as it's ethical for you. You
Right.
know, I had somebody correct me on this. She was like, "Well, Nolan, they're not always ethical," and they meant the primary lead sellers that we all know of.
Yeah.
I won't name their names since I just said it, bad practices. But I said, okay, they may not be ethical. They may sell leads to multiple people and be fraudulent in their activities. But as long as you're ethical and it makes money for you, there's nothing wrong with your ethics on buying the lead.
Right.
The problem with buying the leads is they cost too much and people don't like them because of that. Forget about the ethical nature of the integrity of
How
the
they
company.
were acquired in the first place.
Right,
Yeah.
or if they're selling to multiple people, or if they're fake leads in the first place. So a lot of people get riddled with fake leads, but it still makes money for them and they didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, let's distinguish those two things. There's nothing wrong in essence of being a business owner and trying to buy a lead. The problem with buying a lead in the first place is that there's this little thing called the big show where everybody goes to get their home service company, their HVAC company.
Yeah.
And while they're on Google, over 70% clicks on that. So if I run those numbers and let somebody really let that sink in, that over 80% of people still go to Google to look for home services, and while they're there, they over 70% click on a non-paid item.
Right.
The non-paid items require professional assistance like HVAC Webmasters and Datapens, but it costs hundreds of percent less than buying a lead.
Or even pay-per-click.
Or paid, which it's hundreds of percent more of the total leads on the page.
Right.
So once you add a 300% increase or more of leads on the page, which is non-paid, that cost hundreds of percent less, it's hundreds and hundreds of percent better rate of return on investment dollar than a paid to have SEO or organic or non-paid stuff show up because your brand deserves to show up.
And the quality of the lead is better.
It is.
So it's pretty rare that you can spend less money, get greater quantity and greater quality all at the same time.
It's good, Jason.
So, so I mean that's pretty incredible. I mean, usually you got to pick one or two of those.
Right.
You either got to spend less money and get less, or you spend more money to get more quality. But in this case, you can spend less money, get better quality and greater quantity.
So most people that call up have never participated in the big show. They've never experienced it before.
Although sometimes they think they have.
They think they may have a little bit here and there. They also misconstrue, we talk about this all the time, that people are big because they're up there, but they're up there. Well, say that properly. They're up there. Yeah.
They're not. No, now you got me.
They're not up there because they're up there because they're not up there because they're big. They're big because they're up there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. They're not at the top because they're the biggest company around. They're the biggest company around because they got to the top.
Right. So the big show of showing up in organic marketing, being in the map placement, reputation reviews, and organic keyword ranking is why they're big.
Right.
So I can pretty much stop and talk on the phone with anybody up there and mention the first 3 people in the Pack 3 mapping, or first 5 in a bigger market and mapping, and those are the people that someone wants to be like, and they'll say, oh, they spend an absolute fortune to be up there, and I'm like, that's not true. They don't spend an absolute fortune necessarily to be up there. They might.
If no one else in their market is participating in the big show properly, then maybe they are. But all that means is that you have an opportunity to take that top spot at a fraction of the money they spend.
Yeah, if you get proper web work done, it is so much less expensive than paying for stuff, paying for leads, paying for clicks, paying for impressions on social media, all this other stuff. I told another guy, and another way to look at it is this, so that I drive these points home to people when I talk to them about why they want to put their effort into showing up organically first, and why their SEO isn't doing anything about it. We'll get into some of those clues that they're not doing anything, but just it's the amount of calls. If you get into the top, the amount of times that you'll get daily call volume. I mean, you will get daily call volume. You won't call for leads anymore. Let me go into some other stuff actually, because I want to. So
we can talk about leads all day.
We can. So you're already paying for SEO, but you're not ranking. So people say I'm paying for it. So people misconstrue the idea of like, well, I have a website.
You're giving somebody money, but you ain't getting what you're paying for.
Yes, you have a website. Yes, you're paying someone for SEO, but it doesn't mean that you're getting anything. So you're not ranking. They said, well, I've heard it takes, or they'll tell me, well, it takes time. I'm like, does it?
I mean, define time.
Define time.
That's the problem.
And define time and compare it to what you currently have. Yeah. So does what you have look like other people's that are up there, or does it look horribly deficient? And so just because
few pages, little content, whatever it is,
yeah, I mean, you can go through life and get like poor services from lots of people. My dad's a CPA, so I always use accounting as an example. You can get really poor quality accounting. The accountant can be a nice person, a smart person, but not have expertise for helping a small business legitimately avoid taxes that they didn't have to pay, right? That they weren't supposed to pay. Yeah. The CPA might even look at it and go, "Oh, you're not paying that." It's like, well, we're not supposed to. There was this thing put in here for us because
specifically for our category or our size, right, or whatever that allows us to defer that or whatever.
And the person's just doesn't have the skill sets, right. And so I think that digital marketing agencies are that times 10. It's hard enough to find a good accountant or a good CPA, but to find a good digital marketing agency is just almost impossible. Yeah. Okay, so your site never gets worked on. Your site literally never gets worked on. It's stagnant. It's this little site, so it might have no content, shallow content, which means barely any, sparse content, or it's copied content. Yeah.
So copied content is the worst because you will never rank if you have that. Yeah. If you have let's say you have semi-shallow content, and Google indexes it the first time, like, oh well, there's something there. They're maybe trying a little, so we're seeing these keyword entities. So let's put these on the let's index these. Let's put these on a chart, see where these guys rank, and see how they perform. And then they look at it a month later. Oh, this is all exactly the same. So there's no reason for us to move this up or do anything with it.
So
and then month after month, the same thing happens.
I'll give some other examples of this because people will have like, I talked to a guy yesterday. He had a really basic website, but he did a lot of business, and he did everything, like everything you could imagine. And if you don't have a page for indoor air quality, or a page for mini splits, or they don't know you do that.
Right.
And if you have a bullet point, the bullet point isn't good enough to provide a good user experience. They might see the bullet point, but they're not going to send anybody to a page of 10 things. Or
services we provide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Or just even, service we provide in a little paragraph for 10 of them. It's not a good user experience. It's not specific enough.
Right.
So if you don't have a content to represent the primary services and everything, you won't show up. You just won't show up.
Yeah.
So that brings me another one. I'm getting SEO, but my map doesn't show up. And someone might say, well, that doesn't have anything to do with mapping, Nolen.
Wrong.
Yeah, absolutely has to do with mapping.
It's the exact same problem. Is right. If your website doesn't have content saying that you do that service, yes, you can list your services on Google Business Profile, but that's the exact same thing as just having a bullet list. It's not enough.
It's a poor user experience.
Exactly.
So unless there's no other competition, like Jason said earlier, if you're in a market that has 50, which most markets are going to have 1,000 HVAC companies at this point, but if they have 50 and anybody's done a better job than you at all, why would they show your web effort to somebody? And you might say, well, and by the way, the map doesn't only show up because of content, doesn't not only show up because of reviews, doesn't not, it's an algorithmic thing
that takes thousands of variables into account.
Yes. Yeah. They don't tell us all the variables, but it takes many variables into account. And if you're basically being remiss or lazy or just not doing this stuff or paying attention to it or thinking that reviews only is why the map shows up, your map won't show up well or at all, or so low that you don't get any call volume.
Right.
This is a huge thing missed by most people. Yes, what Jason said, if you don't have a page for indoor air quality, the map can show up, but wouldn't, because the user experience would be poor.
Right.
So the map that you have show up now that you think only shows up because of reviews, which is improper, could show up much higher, much better, and much more often. So that's early on in the podcast we talked about it, and you said, well, people may show up, but not as well as they think they could, or as they could,
right.
Because they have, I show up for what? So people can show up for 5 words, for 3,000 words, or somewhere in between.
Yeah. On
map and on organic
We frequently have clients that will ask, well, I want to do or they'll have talked to a competitor or something, and they're like, well, they'll do these 5 terms. And it's like, well, we're going to get you ranked for hundreds or thousands.
Right.
So take a pick.
So when someone asks you to pick a keyword, it's ludicrously bad.
Right.
Keywords are inherent within properly written websites and page content.
Yeah.
They're inherent within that structure, and they would expand into hundreds at least.
And in fact, if someone's asking you to pick a keyword, that's probably a good sign that you've got a black box billing bundled thing, and they're actually doing that with PPC.
Or
because that's how you really target a keyword.
Slamming links out of India.
Or slamming links.
Yeah.
Basically, one thing that's real expensive or another thing that doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Or against algorithm, or against Google Webmasters.
Yeah. Or against just flat out against the rules.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have no keywords that pop up. So the map is the map, or the map doesn't show up, or the words under the map. I call it the keyword rankings,
right?
Not related to the map, that aren't paid. Those don't show up. It's like, well, that's where Yelp and Angie's List and Home Advisor show up. No, that's where they show up if there's no quality local guys.
That's where they show up if Google is desperate.
Yeah. Well, they'll give a little bit of a variety, but we've always noticed that when there's a great local company, they'll be one or in the top 3 at least.
Yeah, they will prefer to show the local company.
And we're not guaranteeing that you'll show up for all keywords all the time. We're just saying that if you don't show up for this stuff, you want to show up for as many things as possible.
Right.
And that will equal daily call volume. Nolen Walker here for Datapens. You may not know, but I own a software company, and we have a proprietary software called Datapens, Datapins. You can search it at datapens.com. This is not white labeled. I actually own this piece of software, and I made it for you. It was made for contractors. You can actually take pictures of jobs, up to 6, make a caption about the material, the brand, the situation, the repairs, and post that back to your individual pages on your website, just like that. It's super simple. Anyone could use it. It also texts and emails your clients direct links to your reviews, so it helps reputation and reviews, which helps conversion and map placement. The geo coordinate gets grabbed by Datapens, and Google can tell where you are. So instead of them just seeing reviews, they see all jobs or even estimates that you do. This vastly outperforms just getting reviews. Helps the map show up, helps organic keywords. And remember, those captions that you're putting in there help expand the keywords per page, and it's great regular content. I love it. We made it just for you. It is organic optimization on steroids for both your website, your rankings, and the map placement. Check out Datapens. I think you'll be happy you did. Another big thing that people get, and I think that a business owner can gut check this feel, and it's one of the reasons they'll call. Sometimes people call and they're looking for organic optimization SEO directly, and they already have somebody because they gut check feel that all these things are occurring to them.
Yeah, like they've been paying someone for a year and it's just not paying off, and they're like, what's going on? And they got an uneasy feeling.
They get an uneasy, so the company will call and hard sell you regularly. So there's nothing wrong with getting some sort of monthly support. What's wrong is if when they communicate with you, it's a hard sell to keep you all the time. And you don't experience any results at all. They don't produce any quantifiable results, and everything's just a hardcore sales spin.
Right.
And I would say this is standard practices if somebody's paying any money at all. I do want to say that I didn't even have this on the list. If you're paying $300 a month or $500 a month, it's stupid. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, you're paying we used to use this phrase, glorified hosting fee.
Glorified hosting fee. And someone's like, well, by God, it's good money. It's fine. It's $300. It's $500. But you can't get skilled labor.
You're not paying them enough to pay someone to work on your site.
Right. You don't need the equivalent of a recharge on your site. You have to have for HVAC. Like, you have to have somebody actually do work each week, each month on the site.
Right.
Provide some level of services. So just to be very clear, you can pay enough money and not get work in this industry of digital marketing agencies.
Yeah.
But if you don't pay enough money, and you're throwing it out, and you go, well, by God, I listened to Nolen and Jason, and you need to do all this stuff. I can't tell you the amount of times, thousands of times over 13 years, have I talked to people, and they're like, well, by God, and I'm like, well, how much are you paying? Well, and then they'll kind of, they'll even flubber on it because they know they're not paying anything, and they're like, you can't. I said, you're paying $199 a month. All they can possibly do is try to save you when you call to complain.
They're paying enough for the account manager to sweet talk you when you call.
That's what you're paying for. And that's all they can afford to do.
Yeah.
So someone's like, well, I paid good money. It's like, what does that mean? You paid, tell me, I'm an expert. Well, I paid $1,500 for a website, $199 a month. I said, that's trash. You paid for trash.
Yeah, sorry to put it that way, but that's,
you didn't pay enough to participate in the big show, to send signals to Google. That is not a concerted effort.
And by the way, as with many things we talk about, that talking about $300 a month and not being able to pay someone to actually work on the site, we know that because we tried it. We have tried on more than one occasion to do a lower cost offering.
I remember I was laughing at something, so I was had to remind myself to be humble and great, and I'm always humble and grateful. But I do think about gratitude. I'm always grateful to have a client, grateful to be of service,
right?
You know, and typically keep my headspace in the right area.
Yeah.
So I always tell people we're Texas. Well, you do something for 13 years, you tend to get a little.
Every once in a while, you get a little
salty. So I always tell people we're Texas straightforward, but Texas respectful. There's a guy that called me one time, and I laughed, and he got upset with me about it, and he deserved to, I guess. But I also deserve to laugh and have my attitude towards it. The older I get, I was like,
is this the recent one?
No.
Oh,
it's a long time ago. I'll remind you of it, but. I always tell myself it's like it's okay that I make mistakes as long as I correct and move forward and do the best I can. So right now I'm on a path of gratitude, a remembrance of gratitude and all that. Yeah. So, but a guy I was talking to him, his HVAC guy, I think this is what made me think of it earlier today, because we were going to do an HVAC podcast, and he said, how much is it? And,
I know exactly what this is. Now I remember.
And I don't remember what we were charging back then, but it was 50 on the end of it. And he said something $50, and because I don't want to list right. And I'm like, and I laughed. I was like, you messing with me? I said, that's funny. You messing? And I laughed some more. And he's like, whoa, serious? I was serious. And I'm like, look, sir, in all due respect,
that's not even a glorified hosting fee.
No,
that's a discount.
With all due respect, I said, and he was an older gentleman, by the way. I said, you couldn't talk to a human on the phone for that much, not a quality skilled human anyway. I said, that's a ridiculous notion to have your brain even go there. He said, well, I don't appreciate you laughing at me about it. I said, you have a point there, but you don't understand the conversation at this point is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I said, I am, I was like, I'm not a lofty individual. I'm not too big for my britches to talk to you, but you're not in the right headspace. You're off base.
You're literally quoting, trying to quote back 1% of the fee.
Yes.
Or something like that.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
A 99% discount like, just for the hell of it.
How could we pay the phone bill and speak to you? I was like, this is insane. And he's like, well, I don't appreciate you. I was like, fair enough. I don't appreciate you saying that.
I'm talking to you right now on a can with a string in it because we can't afford to pay for a phone.
Hold on, let me add this up on my abacus here. And I was like, sir, here's 2 pence. I'll go get the turkey right now out of the window. Yeah. So, but anyway, it was, it costs something. We're a really good deal. We're month to month. That's another thing I was going to say because it led me into it. You're stuck in a term agreement. So it's a big one.
That's a big red flag. I mean, I kind of get why some companies do the term agreement.
I do.
Because you want people to stay on long enough for things to be working.
Right.
But if you're in a term agreement, especially anything over a year is a huge red flag.
Right.
And we don't do a term agreement. Just
we're month to month. We're month to month.
Yeah. But if you're on a term agreement and you're paying like $5,000 a month, if that's what they throw in front of you, run the other way.
Yeah.
Because they're just trying to get $5,000 a month for 3 years, and then they don't care if you leave.
Right. If somebody has a big ticket on you, and you're stuck in a term agreement, and you had money down, it doesn't really matter what happens after that.
Yeah.
And
they made their money back.
So
at huge profit.
We're on our 12th or 13th year. I can't remember at this point, but somewhere down the road, pretty as quickly as I could, and I think it's been like 9 or 10 years.
Yeah, you never had a contract since I worked for you for going to be 9 years in January.
Okay, so we used to, and we had money down, but people don't like that because even way back then, people were getting screwed. No one wants to commit that long, and it's a reason. Right. Some stuff is reasonable. It's reasonable if someone says, I don't want to be tied down for 12 months. It's unreasonable if someone says, I'd like for you to do unlimited labor for $199 a month, and when I call to yell at you, you'll say yes, sir, and do it. And that's unreasonable. So that's like somebody, calling to get a full HVAC system replacement, and they're like, well, hey, I got this bucket of change, and you're going to do the work.
Right.
But so you'll have to pay something for it, but I don't blame people for not wanting to get stuck in it. So we're out like thousands on a new client launch.
Right.
And then we're month to month, and if they want to leave, they can. But we'd like for them to stay at least 3 or 4 months. So I say 4 months now.
We take a risk.
We take a risk up front.
I mean, we're pretty confident in our ability to get the job done. I mean, we're extremely confident, actually.
We are.
But there's always some people that fall out for one reason or another.
And we take our licks as we go. But someone's ability to enter with us having confidence, as long as we have a reasonable party, we'll end up keeping a client for years.
And we have hundreds like that.
I'll say something else here that's interesting to me that I've been telling people recently, because people will say, because I've really been focused on this big show thing like SEO, what people call SEO. I call it branded signaling these days.
Right.
I don't really refer to it as SEO anymore. We manage designs, code, content, citations, links, speed, SSL certificates, high-end add-ons like Datapens software, and then work on updates and other things regularly, domain authority. And that's SEO or branded signaling to Google, so they can see that brand in the best light and deserve to show up in ranking.
Right.
If I sign somebody up for, and I heard another person, well, someone that works here heard of another person said this on a podcast, and if you sign somebody up for paid ads, or let's go to social media ads, they might stay like 4 months as a client. If you sign somebody up on Google ads, they might stay for 10 months. If you sign someone up on an organic and can perform, we might keep somebody for years, or we do keep people for years. Now,
we've got a few clients on the books that have been with us since 2012.
So you have the ability to do that, and someone talks about business ethics, and I want to talk about bundled services before we wrap this up. But someone's like, well, Nolen, you don't do paid. I said, well, we do paid. I just don't push paid. I said, I've contemplated this like on a deeper level for many years. Like, do I do it because I'm ethical? I'm a guy that owns a business. I want to earn money, and I want to do right by the client. If we don't do right by the client, we don't keep them anyway. We're month to month.
Right.
But if I sign somebody up for other things that they stay for 4 months, 8 months, 6 months, or something that they stay for years, then the client's happy. The rate of return and the emotions associated with us are good.
Right.
So if I sign somebody up for any paid thing at all, then they'll transfer anger towards us, as you see throughout the year.
Yeah, they'll see the ad budget spend, which does not go to us. We don't black box bill. We have this is our fee for management, and this is what Google is charging you for the clicks.
They see the debit from Google.
They see it from they see it's all transparent.
Right.
But they still blame us for it.
Right.
And it's
not my fault or our fault that clicks cost a lot.
Right.
Or that impressions
kind of the opposite
through
actually,
social media.
We don't push that, so we're not responsible for driving the cost up.
Right. True. Hey there, guys. Nolen Walker here for HVAC Webmasters. Glad you're listening to the podcast, but I'd like you to become a client. We're a digital marketing agency that have done this for 12 years. I don't think there's anybody better than us at this point in time. We will help you with your design, your code, your content, showing up as high as we can on Google ranking, your organic ranking, your map ranking, your reputation, your reviews. Our digital marketing agency will help you be the best possible online. We can help you with all of it, even paid. We even have a software company called Datapens that's proprietary. We made it for you guys. You can take 90 seconds and do a pin on each job. We call them Datapens, and it'll grab the geo coordinate where you're located. It looks like a little red pin drop, but to Google it looks like a digital hand raise. This helps them see where you're working. So if someone doesn't give you a review, they've got this with photos of the job that count as unique content and a caption. Let's say it's Linux air handler replacement with Linux M30 Wi-Fi thermostat. This is additional content that's literally going to drop on the individual service and city pages on the website and expand your keyword search ability. It's crazy how cool Datapens is, combined with the SEO and digital marketing agency services of HVAC Webmasters.com. Guys, check us out. We'd love to hear from you. So most of these companies that claim to do SEO, that they're not doing SEO because you're calling looking for stuff and searching, they bundle services. Now here's the reason they bundle services. They bundle services because they actually have no resources and skill sets at SEO.
Right. Managing Google Ads takes far less labor and resources than SEO does.
Right.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that statement.
Well,
it takes some. It's not like it's nothing, but it's less than SEO. And someone can get in, and there's programs that people sign up with, like there's one called High Level, that the whole point of this program is you sign up for it, and it's a client and PPC website and PPC management system. Right. You go in, you sign up your client, you enter their stuff into High Level, and High Level does a lot of the work for you.
Right.
And,
there's nothing wrong.
There's
nothing wrong with it.
Getting like a good tool that works.
You pay for expertise. Fine. The problem with it is that 98% of agencies cannot run an organic campaign or SEO.
Right.
But they like to charge you money for it. So, and they'll apply something. Well, I'm only paying $500 a month for SEO. It's like, but you're paying $500 a month here. You're having thousands of black box build for paid ads of different sorts. And I'm like, well, I got funneling and email drips and landing pages and all kinds of fancy stuff. I was like, but we're talking. So by the near nature of we're talking, I said, I know it doesn't work well though. And like,
because you're talking about
yeah, it doesn't work well. And those things don't return well. Social media, people don't ask to see you. Unless that owner is a social media master, the return will be poor.
Right.
On paid ads, the clicks cost too much. The return's not as good as it could be, but might have some success. But it makes you upset about it.
Yeah. You're obviously wanting more because you made the call.
Only on organic are people happy.
Right.
It's the only one people are happy at. The reason these companies will bundle stuff is because they suck at SEO. They can't get you in ranking, but it's just another box. I call it the shell trick. It's like they just throw a little money here. Oh, we're doing your mapping, we're doing your SEO, we manage your website, boom, charge. Oh, we're doing your Google ads, charge. And we're doing your social media, charge. Oh, what about your auto emailing and drip emails, of which nobody wants to get that shit anyway. Charge.
And as we've made the point before, your email funnel and all that is not marketing.
Yeah.
That is what happens after the marketing.
Yeah.
That is lead management.
That is lead constriction.
I like that.
That is lead constriction after forced entry or paid entry. Forced entry sounded bad in multiple ways.
Let's go with paid entry.
That made paid entry sound bad too, actually. All right. Good God. Anyway, but so I would call that lead restriction.
Yeah.
Because it sounds good. Someone pitches these huge bundles of things to somebody.
And it sounds technical. It sounds like it's all automated. I'm going to set this up.
It sounds great.
Sit back. I don't have to do anything.
But it didn't work.
And leads are just going to pour in.
But why didn't
and I'm
it work?
know where every one of them came from.
Right.
That's what these guys really like. Is they've got that. I know exactly how I got that lead, and it justifies in their head what they're paying for. And
it justifies that agency that calls to use that. They've got all these wiffle ball bats they pop you with every time they call you. Now, but the problem is this: they don't return well. The leads actually don't flow out the end of the funnel that well, which means they cost a lot.
Right.
Which means you don't make much money on them, which you feel. But everything's set up the way you think it should be done, but it's not the way people want to function. They don't want to put their email in your stupid lead funnel. And they weren't looking to buy in that manner anyway. Now, there's nothing wrong with a lead going out or an email drip necessarily. I don't necessarily like them in that manner, by the way, for an HVAC company. What should happen...
I have a whole email account that I use for stuff like that I never check.
I do as well.
I literally just put that in if I have to, and I never
I just went in and
result.
Unsubscribed to just tons of them because it became inoperable. Yeah, I couldn't see everything. So here's my point, though. If you need to buy a lead, fine. If you need to pay for a click or pay for an impression, fine. Do it if you want to, but understand they don't return well. Right. If you're paying for leads and paying for impressions and paying for clicks and you haven't mastered the big show to show up on that, then that would have been the thing to do first. Furthermore, supporting your brand so that it deserves to show up many, many times when people search will produce daily call volume as inexpensively as possible, and you should have supported the brand. When people bundle all the crap together and some charlatans and thieves that are high-end salespeople wrangle you into these systems that are all inclusive, except they completely ignore the SEO, which isn't getting worked on, it's a load of horse shit and you've been screwed.
Right.
And the one thing that could have gotten you good return on investment that would have made you money has been ignored and put to the side because they claim they claim they're doing it, but they're not.
Yeah. I've got kind of a sort of an example.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a current client, actually very happy with our services. I talk to him on a regular basis. He listens most of the time when I talk to him. He got a call a couple of months ago, got a hardcore sales pitch to do PPC. And the guy making the pitch on him was just like, oh, we'll do this, there'll be tracking numbers and all this stuff. And the guy wanted access to the site we were managing, which we don't do. And the client called, the guy tried to call the PPC vendor, tried to call me. Mm-hmm. And tried to demand access. I'm like, well, I can't give you that. I got to talk to the client about this. And I talked to the client. He's like, yeah. I said, well, I can't let him in, but he can tell me if we need to put tracking codes or anything else on there. Right. We'll do it. Just send it to us. We'll take care of it. And there was some trouble because the new vendor was like really trying to paint us as being difficult to work with because he's trying to take the whole enchilada. Right. He's trying to take the whole client from us, obviously. And so we finally got it worked out and got everything on there. And it's the PPC campaign's been running like a couple months now. Right. And we got complaints. We got complaints about this, and the placement of this is not good for, conversion, and this needs to be above the fold. And it's like, okay, we know what we're doing, but fine. It's nothing you're asking for is gonna cause a problem, so fine, we'll do it.
Nor increase anything.
It's not going to make any difference whatsoever because the client's now paying this guy. I don't know how much, probably more than he pays us.
Oh, sure.
And hasn't seen much return on it. Right. And then he calls me this week, and he's like, "Well, the PPC guy says that we need landing pages because your pages don't convert." So he's paying for this, and so now the PPC guy's making
let him go make landing pages, then go make your landing pages.
Well, he wants them on his site, so I said we'd help him out. We'd make them. They don't have heavy content. They're simple enough to do.
Okay.
And I said, I said Bob, not his real name.
This is more funny to me than it is to them.
Yeah. And I said, Bob, I mean, we'll do it. We're told, we want you to be successful. We're not going to put any roadblocks in your way here. But I got to tell you, those pages work just fine for conversion when it's organic. And he kind of got quiet.
Right.
He said, well, he says he needs them. I said, okay, that's fine. It was 3. I said, tell me what you want. He said he's going to send you screenshots. No problem. So I'm just being very accommodating.
Basic cheesy pages.
A page with essentially a coupon on it and a list of bullet points. Right. It's not going to do shit. And so I'm waiting for the excuse next month about because then I'm going to pull out an organic report and say, well, while you're paying this much for all these clicks that are doing nothing, this is your organic clicks. And this is your calls on your GBP, and this is
so if there's any problem here, and Jason and I both know this, but and if I could help this client that's already our client,
right?
There's nothing wrong with speaking to these people, but they're aggressive, and when people are overly aggressive, you should be a little concerned. Yeah. I've been car shopping recently, and they were. I mean, we heard somebody hard closing somebody. Oh, well, this car may not be here. It's like there's a million of them, man.
Oh, that thing. Even when I remember the first car I ever bought, the salesman tried. Well, I don't know if it's going to be here in a couple of days. Yeah, because I told him I had to.
There'll be another one next week. Yeah,
I'll wait for the next one off the truck. Yeah, right. It's like this. It's a Hyundai Excel, man. It's not gonna.
Right. These are
not selling me a Rolls.
This is not a But so when they're going at you hardcore like this, there's typically a problem. If I could tell this client, help them, which they may already be doing this, but getting more pins and reviews on that activity, as long as if he's exhausted all of these things, this client. There's nothing wrong with trying to buy a lead.
He's resistant on the pins.
Okay.
That's the big problem. So I'm hoping I can use this to get him on board on it.
Right.
The fact that he's calling his PPC guy and saying, well, I'm not getting any calls off this. Because otherwise we wouldn't be getting the call saying, well, we need landing pages. Because when he first signed up with him, I said, do you need landing pages or anything? He said, no, he said he can just use the pages you have. So this guy didn't think he needed landing pages at first, but all of a sudden 2 months later, well, your pages don't convert.
So one thing that happens here too from the mentality of our clients sometimes is that we are a really good deal. And sometimes they think, hey, man, I did pretty good with these guys, but I'm going to spend 3 times more with these guys and go up 300% and, show everybody.
Right.
And if they take their eye off of the branded effort and the SEO to show up, and they're not focused on how that can occur to get as much of that, which is over 70% of the clicks.
Right.
And then they start throwing thousands at 25 to 30% of the clicks. They've just screwed up the mentality on how to do it. There's nothing wrong with buying a lead or trying to pay for a click, but
they're just going at it backwards.
Yeah. The effort should be to continue to belly down on that. The guy's obviously getting response from us, and then you're able to now see the chain, the monetization of the organic compared to the paid, right?
Right.
I'd like to know how much he pays for it so that we can track the cost per lead. That'd
I
be
don't
nice.
like asking that because it's, that feels like getting into their financials. So.
We don't as much, guys, but the paid guys, they're all up in their financials and how much they pay and everything else, and it costs. They're doing all that stuff. In this case, the guy's just hoping if he could have gotten all the organic, he would have fraudulently, unethically, tried to take advantage of everything and push that back to the owner.
Yeah, and we've had other ones do that in the past. Well, all that traffic's paid, and I'll show them the analytics report, and it's like, no, it's organic. You see this chart? This says paid. This says organic. Yeah. If you can get them to listen.
Yeah, I don't think we explained that, but on Google Analytics, it'll break down where all the traffic comes from very clearly.
Paid, social, organic, direct, and just since we're talking about it, direct means someone typed in your URL. If your URL is abchvac.com, direct traffic means that someone went to their address bar and put abchvac.com.
Map impressions, like all this stuff.
Yeah. Organic means off the search results page. Social means they came in from a link from a social media website, Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Right.
Referral means it's a link from another non-search and non-social website.
Right.
Like, local website that you did some work for and they put a link up for you. That's a referral.
I tell you what, so a good way to end this thing and recap, like, if you're paying for anything, you might not be getting all the SEO and there's nothing wrong with paying for stuff, but most people who show up on the big show and are one of the most dominant ones in their market, let's say top 5, they don't have to buy any leads.
Right.
They flat out don't have to buy any leads or pay for any clicks or pay for any impressions.
They might occasionally run paid when there's like a heat wave and they want to make sure they stay at the top when competition blooms and explodes because there's so much work available.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Sometimes
they probably don't have enough tags. They probably don't have enough tags. Yeah.
We have an HVAC client in California that since we've had him, there have been 2 heat waves where he is, and he's made out like a bandit both times without running any PPC.
Yeah. I think it was Orange County area. Yeah. Heat wave in Orange County. I'm kind of on it. So if something's wrong and you kind of know it, and these are some examples. These are all like real life examples of things we've seen like hundreds and hundreds of times. If I had to leave anybody with anything, and I know we speak to a pretty small audience on this niche, but if I had to help an individual with their thought process, it's that your entire presence is digital branded, and it's your best opportunity. Google's still the best thing, head and shoulders to show up on. It's your best return on investment. It's one of the only ways you're going to get a really good, clean net profit off your company. And you should view your brand as digital signaling and the best ability to show that to Google. And we didn't go off into all the things that we do for someone to do this, but we obviously do this for people. And
hundreds of people.
Yeah, and if you can show up and get signals to tell Google, I'm the best guy, I'm a good guy, and show them regularly without cheating, and best quality Google Webmaster guidelines and best quality content and work and all sorts of little things. You show up in these rankings and get these clicks and daily call volume, and you want to pay for stuff, other stuff. You'll have to pay for this, but
you have to pay for SEO.
Yeah,
but it's not free.
You probably won't pay for other stuff,
and
it will save you thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing and get you hundreds and hundreds of % more leads than you otherwise would, and better leads.
And better quality.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else?
I'm good.
Like and subscribe, and There you go. We'll see you next time.
remembered more than me, Rick.
We'll
See
see
ya.
ya.